Oh yeah, welcome to episode 125 of the Permaculture PIMPcast, where PIMP stands for Permaculture is my passion, the only PIMPcast on planet Earth where we discuss permaculture, preparedness, and practical living. How you doing, son?
Pretty good. How are you?
It's Labor Day, man. I guess I'm pretty good, and Labor Day is just another day to us. But this episode, as always, is brought to you by Hickory Ridge Soap from twooldcrowshomestead.com.
Turn that simp into a pimp.
Bam! Home Heaven's Harvest, y'all. 10% off with promo code PERMA. Get all your preparedness needs over there. You'll be glad you did. Maybe they got an extra tongue for me because it's obviously tied up right now. So it's kind of weird. I haven't spoken in a while, so my voice sounds a little bit weird, maybe.
Yeah, Dad's been signing books.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. But if you would like to tip a pimp, go check us out on Patreon, because apparently Fountain App ain't working all that well right now, is it?
When we get into the farm news, I'll talk more about that. Well,
son, we just got into farm news. Go right ahead with it.
All right. Well, apparently it has been working. The Texas boys hit me up and said that they've been able to hear every episode so far. And then I got an email from somebody else saying that they've been able to hear every episode so far. And then there have been a few comments saying that they've been able to hear on the Fountain app. So it seems to be, I don't know, specific, but the Fountain app is not working on my end, which is like on my phone, the app, which is connected to the PIMPcast, it's not working on that end.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird things going on with this thing. Ever since we talked about a couple of other things, which you well know about. Well, like William said a little bit ago, I was signing books, and frankly, of all the things I've ever done in my life that may have been strange, and believe me, it's a long list.
Yeah.
This is definitely the strangest thing. And the reason why, it goes back to what I talked about before episodes ago about that thing with self-confidence. You know, at the end of the day, I just feel like I'm just floored, honestly, that anybody would ever want me to sign anything for them, that anybody would ever...
Except a check.
Well,
that's what they've wanted you to sign before.
Well, there's that. Yeah, but I mean, it's a strange feeling where when you came up the way I did, and then you're signing books right now, it's just surreal. But also, there's that part of me, and folks don't take it the wrong way, but there's this part of me that feels like a fraud. I know that I'm not. Let me just kind of qualify that. I know that I'm not. I know that we put out second to none information as best we can. It's not that. It's just the notion that people might think I'm not pretending to be somebody I'm not. I mean, everything I'm showing is exactly what we do, not faking anything. There aren't people doing our chores for us. There aren't people coming up with any ideas. It's just, I don't know. It's just when people seem to, I don't even want to say it. It's just the weirdest feeling in the world to think that anybody would actually want me to sign something from them when I know just how ignorant I am. I mean, granted, I know what I wrote about in the book, clearly.
Right. Yeah.
And I know what Matt wrote, and I know that is valuable to the people that are just getting in this space. I get all that. And I do, I really, really do. It's just the fact that people would actually spend their hard-earned money to get this book. And, a lot of it's encapsulating a lot of what we do on YouTube. It's just very surreal, and I'm humbled by it, and it's honestly very, very strange. I just feel like that kid I feel like that kid in Oklahoma that just didn't feel like he was worth. There was that saying that you can't feel inferior without your own consent, and I think it was Eleanor Roosevelt that said that. And it's still trying to get over that feeling as if you're inadequate, like you're just not good enough, and you're certainly not worthy of it. So, folks, for whatever that's worth, I'm not even sure what I just said right there. It's just a very weird feeling, and that's the only way I can I know what it is, but I don't want to say it out loud until I kind of get the words worked out. But I am thankful to all of you out there that really wanted to support us in any way you can, and also to get the book. I do thank you. So, thanks.
Yeah.
All right. So, well, okay, as far as farm news, you're holding your phone like you got something to say, son.
Well, yeah, because we forgot to talk about it last time. The Farm Where You Live event, it's down in, or we didn't mention the location, but it's down in Clemson, South Carolina, October 7th. So Joel Salatin's going to be there on. There's VIPs on October 6th. Joel Salatin, Jess Sowards, Sean and Beth Doherty, Michael Kilpatrick. They're all going to be there. And if you use our link down in the description, you'll get 10% off.
Yeah, you'll be glad you did, folks. That's going to be a good event, just based on the folks I know going there. Wish I could make it. It's going to be October's a very weird month. Or very, very filled.
Yeah, it
Plus,
is.
I mean, there's going to be another Earthship being built out in. That's part of the reason why
Tennessee,
I can't. Yeah,
right?
in Tennessee.
Yeah.
So I've got to spend time to get out there and put my hands on that type of Earthship. And
Isn't it your buddy Will's?
No.
I saw it on Instagram, actually. Being advertised.
Actually, he's going to be there, but I'm going to be there not as long as I was the last time. I'm going to be there. There's certain design features on this model that I want to see with my own two eyes. And so, yeah, I'd love to be at that event. But in fact, it'd be cool to hang out with Joel again and Sean and Beth and, the other folks that are going to be there. So, yeah, it's going to be a good event. So, folks, if you're in the neighborhood, please make time. You'll be glad you did. So what's that promo code again, son?
It's just the link. If you use our link down in the description of this podcast.
Well, there's a lot of other ones. We're going to be helping to advertise for some of those. Well, one of the ones coming up real soon is going to be Back to the Land, and that's going to be September 21st through the 24th. We're going to actually be doing the book signing there as if I didn't feel weird enough now.
Now you're going to do it in person.
Now we're going to do it in person. And, yeah, we'll be there. But it's always, the cool thing about going to these things, it's always a homecoming, especially Back to the Land, because it was one of the first ones we ever did. And
it was the first one we did.
Was it?
It was the first one where we were like a part of the festival aspect. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no. Yeah. Actually, yeah. That was.
We had 10,000 subscribers.
Yep. Right about 10,000. And it was a fantastic gathering. I mean, meeting so many awesome people. And, that one feels. All these really feel like something of a homecoming. It's almost like a family reunion. I was saying that to Shelly one time, and I remember her nodding her head. Is that because that's kind of what you feel like? I know I'm going to see Darren and Patty. Yep. I know I'm going to probably see Grumpy. I'm going to see all the, Matt and Gabby and all the other folks that are, let's say, indigenous to that area.
You're going to see Daniel Amick. You're going to see all the Tennessee homesteaders.
Yeah, you're going to see a lot of them there. And that's going to be Back to the Land, September 22nd and through the 24th. And then, of course, October 20th through the 22nd, Mountain Readiness. We're going to be there. Are we going to have a link for that down below as well, son?
I can. What Mountain Readiness Conference, and then Texas Boys are going to be there as well, right?
Yeah. I'm looking forward to meeting them. And then Kentucky Sustainable Living. Remember, that one none of these you want to miss. But that's going to be in late October, so we're going to try to make sure if we advertise for anybody that they're not overlapping as best we can. So Kentucky Sustainable Living, obviously, that's going to be at Bowling Green, and that's going to be October 28th and 29th. And remember, they're doing a fundraiser for Vets for Child Rescue. We're going to be there. I'm going to be helping out Darren process a pig, and Darren's going to be doing it. I'm going to be his backup dancer. He's Michael. I'm Tito. And we're going to have a great time. I mean, it's just always a homecoming going to these things.
Yep.
And it's like okay, I ain't going to lie, y'all. One of the big things I'm looking forward to at the Kentucky Sustainable Living, Randy.
Oh, yeah.
Randy. Shelly, tell Randy to bring them. Tell Randy, I don't care if Randy makes one batch. Tell him to bring that pork belly candy. I'm crying over here. Yeah, so... yeah, Randy, that's who I'm looking for. No, I'm kidding. I want to see everybody there. But Shelly, I love you, but Randy's got pork belly candy.
It ain't the same without Randy.
No, Randy.
It ain't the same.
Yeah, Randy brought that crock pot the first time. I remember to that Back to the Land thing.
Yeah.
Man, by the time I got over there, man, there was like 2 little cracklings of it left. And I get into it, I'm like, man, whoever wiped this out, I wanted to strangle whoever had the last of it.
He even said, you might want to go ahead and get over there. Like, he knew what he was holding.
Well, the one after that, Randy, he jumped the line, went up there and got me something, dude, because I was trying to get away from where I was. Yeah. I was trying to get away because I'm sitting there. Somebody was talking to me, man, I'm not even going to lie. They were talking to me, but I was looking past them at that crock pot that Randy brought.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, just how do I get out of here? Because I know they're going to wipe that. When they know what's in that pot, they're going to wipe it out. And I ain't going to get none. Man, Randy hooked me up, bro. He went up there. I was ready to cry, dude. I was ready to cry because I knew by the time I got up there wasn't gonna be nothing left.
Yeah.
And Randy hooked me up. Thank you, Randy. Thank you, Shelly. And those are remember, those are our friends at Hickory Ridge Soap. There's Two Old Crows Homestead. Wonderful, fantastic people. They're going to be there as well. They're also helping to put this thing on. So
if you want to be able to pimp like Randy, you need to buy some Hickory Ridge soap.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, boy. Now, there's an advertisement right there.
Yeah.
Well, here's another little development in the farm news, and this kind of happened the other day. This is going to take a second to unfold. Now, I went out there to go get some of that hay, which, by the way, she told me to just go ahead and give her number out here. She's brave.
She what?
Yeah,
Hold
Betty.
on. Are you sure, Dan?
Yeah, I asked her. I spoke to her earlier. Remember, y'all, a while back I was telling you, look, if you want some hay that's not sprayed or anything, well, get with me and I'll let you know. Well, this lady's name is Betty. And if you're anywhere in Western North Carolina, you're looking for hay that doesn't have spray on it.
If you're in Western North Carolina or Eastern Tennessee or Southern Virginia or like any area around there, you want to get this hay.
Yeah. They got like 200 bales left.
Yep.
And the numbers, area code 423-415-2706. That's Betty. Look, y'all. Hey,
say it again, Dad.
I can't say it again. I just got rid of it.
I'll type it down in the
Well, they
description.
can back it up right here in the podcast, son. It ain't like this is live radio.
I'll type it in the description so you can copy and paste it.
Well, the thing is, get a hold of her. If you're looking to get some of this hay, William's going to get out there, get another 30 bales for us, even though we ain't even close to needing it.
No.
But for all the land recovery we're going to be doing, we're going to need it. But the point being, y'all, I want to make sure that I was going to save this as a main topic, but I wanted to make absolutely sure I pointed this out. For a while there, you know how you get yourself into a habit of doing good things. And then if you're not careful, you'll swing into back into old habits. Well, it's not usually, I made myself get out of the habit of staying to myself whenever I go somewhere. And going through this 75 hard, learned a lot about myself, learned a lot about a lot of things, really. And for some reason, over the last several months, I don't know why or how, and I think I think I know the reasons why, is that the masks on all these people started coming back on. So I found myself getting back into my shell, not communicating, not talking, not saying anything. Well, I became conscious of it, I'd say maybe Thursday last week. And for a while there, as you know, and your mom too, man, I'd drive y'all crazy because wherever we go, I'm talking to somebody. Yeah. Or I had been. So I got myself out of it because I think I've seen all these people wearing masks again, and I'm not trying to say, huh. So when I noticed it, I said, okay, I'm going to start doing it. So on the way out to go get some hay on, I think it was Saturday morning. Yeah, I had to get it then. There wasn't no getting around it because they don't work but 2 days, and I missed them Friday, so I had to get it. And even though I got plenty stockpiled, I got plenty of stockpiled forage. This stuff is being used for something else. I was really after some straw. But on my way out there, I stop. And I stop at this place where they got these ballin' empanadas. And it's over in Marshall. Oh. They got coffee and empanadas. I go in there. This kid behind the counter is kind of looking at me a little bit weird. And there's a young lady back there. And I don't know how it came up. They're farmers. They're young, very young, in their early 20s, I think. And they're working here. And then basically the guy says, man, I recognize you. So he remembered me from YouTube. And then, you know, we get to talking. And then to come to find out, hey, these are kids that are not buying the American version of the American dream. They're basically hacking it out of the wilderness, and they're doing it as a family with his family. And they're determined to do it debt-free. They're determined to grow their own food and do whatever. They're working at this shop until they don't have to work at this shop. Right. And so I was like, okay, cool. Met them.
I actually do jiu-jitsu with the owner of that shop.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think I've seen that dude before, but anyway, these kids exchange, information with them and, plan to do things in the future with them as soon as I'm able to make time, which is really not easy for me to find these days. I get out there to go get the hay, and as I'm working with these folks, I realize, talking to them, I realized that the lady is injured, Betty. She's been injured, been dog bit the week prior, and she's recovering. I see her standing on top of this hay trying to load up 100 bales for this elderly lady. I said, why don't you come off of that bale of hay? Because it was a twofold thing. I'm like, okay, ain't no way I'm getting loaded up till they get loaded up. And the way she's injured up there, man, it's just hard to see.
Yeah.
And I
she
know
got
this,
bit, like, it didn't do a whole lot of puncturing, but it's all purple.
And where it bit her has got to be one of the most painful places to get bit. So anyway, I get up there and I help them load up, and it saved her a little bit. And then while I'm out there, they're like, hey, you know, you and your son want to come out and work. You know, I'm like, I ain't really interested in all that. I got plenty of other things I got to do.
So what Dad did was volunteer me. Dad was like, yeah, my son will do it. He'll probably just want to do it for the workout.
That's exactly what I said. I said,
that's exactly what Dad did.
I said, well, I don't know. You can ask my son. I said, he'll probably do it for the workout, but I mean, I don't know. So here it is. And then in the meantime, come to find out his dad, I don't want to say their names on here, but you know, Betty.
Well, you know, Betty,
Yeah, her father-in-law was also an earth mover, retired guy. He's getting on in years.
I met him today.
Yeah, real nice guy, real sharp guy. Well, anyway, come to find out, William comes back on the next trip, which we had to get later in the afternoon because I need this unsprayed straw in the worst kind of way for one of the experiments we got going right now. And I got to know this stuff is legit. Well, this straw is legit. And basically just wheat straw, you know?
I mean, the main reason we're getting this isn't for necessarily for the animals, but it's for compost and to scatter mulch and stuff.
Yeah, so it's got to be, it cannot have junk on it. Right. I mean, that's absolute paramount. So anyway, in exchange for me, honestly, helping load up them 100 bales, you know, I'm out there getting what I need. He throws in another 4 bales on top of it for free.
Oh, wow.
And I'll be honest with y'all. This quality hay with what people are charging right now should be going for about $20 a square bale.
Yeah, these are about 40 to 45 pound bales.
It should be going at least for what everybody's charging for the stuff that's sprayed. This is good looking hay.
Yeah.
They could easily be getting $20 a bale. So the stuff by the way, they have right now is not as wonderful as the stuff I got, but it's pretty doggone close. And she's only wanting $6 a bale for this.
Oh, wow.
You can't even get that garbage down at one of the local farm stores.
Yeah.
You can't touch that for any less than 13.
I'll put it to you this way. If I go into the hay trailer at Smiley's, my allergies instantly start bothering me. And that's just your generic, typical sprayed hay and stuff like that. You go to these people who don't have sprayed hay. I threw hay all day without my allergies bothering me until I had left the area.
Yeah, so he went out there. The point I'm trying to get at, y'all, is that I found myself getting back into these bad habits of not communicating to the people around me. And here it is, just by opening my mouth and not looking in any way for what I might gain. First of all, to these young folks out there, made another good connection. To them, made another good connection because now I just wanted to be a blessing to them for a twofold reason. Number one, I see that woman was injured. Betty was injured. Yeah. And I'm thinking, okay, I need to lend a hand. And number two, I got to get loaded myself. So, yeah. I mean, it just seems like the wrong thing to do to just stand there and watch these folks when I could be helping. Yeah. I just don't get not doing anything other than that. So anyway, that's the moral that I'm trying to, I know it's a long roundabout kind of way of doing that, but that's exactly the point I'm making, is that I am making fantastic connections once again, just because I'm just trying to be a blessing to folks, and also just saying hi, seeing how folks are doing. And then believe it or not, you come to find out you got a little bit of overlap with some of these people. And then, finally William went out there and in exchange for you, what did you go out there, work half a day for him? A little bit more?
Yeah, no, about a half a day, 8 to 11:45.
Okay,
yeah.
So you worked, about half a day, for what most people consider a day. They paid you in what, hay?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they were going to pay me cash, but I wanted the hay instead, yeah.
So they hooked you up with 30 bales of hay that should be anywhere about, you stop to think about this, 30 bales of hay that they could easily get $20 for. Easily for each bale.
For sure.
For everything. I'm talking, that's a discount with the way the market is right now. So what's 30 times 20? That's 500, right?
30 times 20?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
600.
No, 600.
600. Hey, sorry, y'all. I was raised in Oklahoma.
I threw hay today.
Yeah, $600 for 4 hours work. I mean, technically, when you get down. So that hay was worth more than the money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you stop to consider it, I mean, it really was. So, but you were just being a blessing to them. And then in exchange for that, you know, Betty gets to heal up. And at the same time, you know, you gave that hay to some folks that need it.
Well, yeah.
So, you know, anyway, the stuff they got out there now, $6 a bale. And if you need it, go ahead and reach out to them. She said to give her number out. And folks, that's something I really wanted to point out because I think it's, man, we got to make more connections more than we ever have. But folks, if you do that sort of thing, just do it to be a blessing. And you'll find out, just like our business model here at this farm, money is a byproduct of just trying to put out good information and do good work. I truly mean that. It really is. And by having that work ethic and that business ethic, it served us well. And it can serve you well. So if you see somebody out there that needs a hand, lend a hand. I know this goes without saying for a lot of y'all. But there's a lot of people that think, oh, I got to be paid in order to go do something.
Yeah.
Well, son, I mean, you know, and by the way, she called me up this evening saying, hey, just wanted to let you know your son is the best hand we ever had. She said, you know, her husband, he's like, man, I don't know where this kid came from, but.
Well, I don't know if there was much competition. They told me about the other hands that they've had. I don't know if the standard was too high. It wasn't a hard standard to hit.
Well, I'm glad you was able to go out there and lend a hand because, you know, I've been up to my eyeballs doing so many doggone things right now.
Yeah.
So as far as what we're doing with some of that hay, I need some of it for some seriously awesome bio-complete compost that we got to make. And I'm also using it to really act as a mulch layer, especially through the winter on a lot of our beds. Son, you want to tell them why?
Well, hopefully it snows this winter, but the fastest decomposition cycle ever recorded was under snowpack. It was like the organic layer under snowpack, and that was the fastest recorded decomposition ever to occur. We're hoping to replicate that this winter with or without the snowpack, but a lot of your soil life and stuff like that can be built throughout the winter.
And the cool thing about that is that it's like that Goldilocks zone when there's and when the temperature gets just right, and then it's melting underneath, all the microbial life is really, really, really kicking. And judging by the summer we had, I'm guessing we're going to have I imagine we're going to have snow this winter. And that's exactly what we want to do. So we're going to take full advantage. That's why we're getting this hay so the straw we're going to use in our raised beds and some of the other areas, okay? Also to make compost. But the hay is going to be used to rebuild. Okay, so I've shown you pictures before of recovery that we're doing up the side of the mountain. We can speed that up immeasurably. Yeah, we can do just fine just using the animals. But if we could run them there a little bit longer, have them trample in some hay, at the same time, y'all, the recovery will go 10 times faster. So that's exactly what's going on there. Yeah. So as far as other farm news, we've been taking some of the compost we have had, top dressing some of our beds and covering it up with some of that bomb straw.
Yeah, I saw that driving up the driveway this morning that you guys did that.
Yeah, so I'm making compost, doggone it, as quick as a human being can possibly make it. So I'm just going to have to kick up the operation a little bit more. Want to make sure everything's top dressed. Want to make sure I've made enough extract to cover the entire property because, frankly, we are producing some unbelievable stuff. Now that we're gaining these microscope skills, we're making compost that honestly should be the envy of anything I've seen come out of these bags by a long shot.
Well, not even the same. You can't even compare. It's not even the same category of product.
No, it's not. It's not. I mean, it's really that having that stuff in the bag. I don't care if it's that highfalutin, highly touted stuff. Most of it is just flat out hydrophobic.
It's like going to a restaurant, ordering a meal, and receiving all the ingredients. That's basically like here.
Bad
make
ingredients
it yourself.
at that.
Yeah, bad Cisco ingredients.
Yeah, you're not even getting good stuff. So we're going to try and find better ways to convey this more. We've done a lot of that on Patreon, and folks, I'm telling you, these methods work. You're going to have to be thinking about these things right now, especially given the times. I know we sound like a broken record, but let's keep it real. Things are getting very, very strange. They're getting very, very, very expensive. And I know I don't need to tell anybody out there about all that, but when you get down to brass tacks, you're not going to be able, if it comes down to the Mad Max scenario that some are predicting, well, you're not exactly going to be able to go out and buy nitrogen-based fertilizer. And nor should you have to.
Nor should you ever.
Yeah, not if you know how to make good compost.
Even if you don't know how to make good compost, still don't buy nitrogen-based fertilizer because it's just going to make it harder when you do get things.
Well, it's going to set you back either way, yeah. Yeah, so all right, so we usually have something from Pastor Lon, but I didn't want to reach out to him today because I know it's Labor Day, and he's a hard-working man. Believe me, he's one of the hardest workers out there. Never seen a busier person in my life, but unbelievably productive all at the same time. So, I want to wish love and blessings to Pastor Lon and Miss Robbie. So, bad news, good news section. We're going to jump straight into that. All right, check this out. This is why I love Van Tesla and Joel from Kill the Mockingbirds, where he's talking about Elon's buying Twitter like he's going to save us. Mm-hmm. And well, this one here, this is actually from InfoWars. Elon Musk's X deletes video of RFK Jr. exposing deadly Pfizer jabs. See it here. So that's one of many people that I know of that have been scrubbed away from Twitter, where they're saying, oh, we're not going to scrub you. We're just going to make it so nobody sees you. But in his case, they scrubbed him.
Yeah, be aware of all the podcasters and news people who are just now talking about how bad the jab is, or how we all got screwed during COVID, because they were silent when all that stuff was happening. They're only speaking up now that it's socially acceptable to talk about how, like, they want to act as if they were part of the victims, that they were pushing the jab. Their silence was pushing the jab. They knew exactly what was going on, just like everybody else, but they stayed quiet. Don't forget that.
Or they were like that polecat Hannity, who were actually going out there telling people, go get this thing. And all the other polecats just like him. But, the thing that floors me out of all this is it's exactly what you said. I mean, where were you people? It's like Mark Twain said. It reminds me of that quote from Mark Twain about a patriot. And I'm going to loosely quote it, where he says, in the beginning of a change, a patriot is scorned. As his cause succeed, the timid join him, for then it costs nothing to be a patriot.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of those people out there that are just going to stand on the sidelines hoping that they get to you last. But it has been noticed. It has been noticed. Like you said, your silence was compliance.
Yeah. Yeah, you knew exactly what was going on, especially those bigger podcasts that have employees. They knew better than anybody else what was going on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so, for a while there, you could claim ignorance. But, if a farmer in the highlands of North Carolina like myself could look through all the lies based on their own words, I ain't believing the president of the United States can't. But back to this Elon Musk. Everybody got to, so he's not technically in charge anymore. He's got some other lunatic in there. And here you are back to censoring people. And there's a number of other people out there getting censored as well. So don't call this a free platform, folks. This was a rope-a-dope if ever there was one.
Yeah.
James Corbett did a lot of good work on Elon. And in fact, I would highly recommend everybody to go check out the Corbett Report and look at the expose that he did on Elon Musk. The guy is not what you think. A lot of these other people are not what you think. So anyway, I'm calling that bad news because RFK Jr., like him or hate him, at least the guy's been unbelievably consistent when it comes to these things. Lately. Well, when it comes to that, he's always been pretty consistent.
As far as
Pfizer, vaccinations.
Yeah. Okay.
The guy definitely has been 100% consistent on that. All right, so good news for everyone. Bad news, we give you two good. For those that don't know, all these, I just realized all these topics really kind of tie into one another. Karen Kingston, she is a whistleblower. She used to work for Pfizer. Unbelievably wicked smart, unbelievable researcher. She's dropped more knowledge on what has happened with this whole jab thing than any 10 people combined. She came up missing for a while. And she was apparently either shot up or doped up or whatever the case was, kind of lost her mind for a minute. But anyway, everybody was wondering whether or not she got bumped off. Well, it turns out she was in hiding for a while, and she's actually made it back.
That's good.
So, yeah, she was actually one of the ones out there. Folks, check out her Substack. Check out her information. She's a regular on places like Stu Peters and Mike Adams and a few of the others. But there's nobody that knows where more of the bodies are buried when it comes to these jabs than Karen Kingston. So anyway, for a while there, it looked like she was gone, but it looks like she's emerged. And so far, she looks like she's doing okay. So the other good news is now, like I said, this was totally unintentional as far as putting these stories together. Other good news. Almost nobody in Haiti died from COVID because almost nobody got vaccinated.
Good for Haiti.
That's good news. That's good news.
Say that one more time.
Yeah. Almost, and this is the headline. Almost nobody in Haiti died from COVID because almost nobody got vaccinated.
Makes sense.
How about that?
Yeah.
How about that? Man, there are actuaries out there putting out the numbers, and I'm not getting off on any of this, y'all. It's sad. But
it's just the statement itself.
Well, just think about it. Haiti was overlooked because it was third world.
Yeah.
You know, you got the Dominican Republic on one side, then you got Haiti. One is not so bad, one is awful. And it's all nearly in the same place. But everybody in Haiti said, I don't think so. Awful living conditions, hygiene's awful, the whole 9 yards. Same.
Like, you think you're going to boost my immune system?
Right.
I've been living here my whole life.
Right. So what does that tell you? All these Haitians out there that are living in pretty humble circumstances, they actually did quite well regarding fatalities on all this. And, what do you say to that?
Good job, Haiti.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. All right, y'all, when we get back, we're going to jump straight into the topic. But first, my man, Eric.
Hey, Eric Sider here with your PIMPcast tip of the day. Today's tip, you are not going to save the world. We have been laying waste to the planet for generations. We are not going to repair that damage in one lifetime. Short-term thinking and instant gratification is largely responsible for this destructive behavior. So we need long-term strategic planning to lay the foundations for the next generation to continue with, so they don't have to start from square one. We are the pioneering species, tasked with preparing the ground for the next successional event. It is far too easy to get discouraged and feel hopeless with the enormity of the task in front of us. So we must give ourselves a break. It is not a job that's ever going to be finished anyway. We must focus on making 1% improvements every day, and over a lifetime, this will have exponential results. As Jeff Lawton says, if you take one step towards nature, it will take 10 steps towards you. You can find me on YouTube and Instagram at Eric Sider, and if you're in need of permaculture t-shirts or permaculture consultation and design, head over to ericsider.com.
Yeah, that's my man right there, y'all.
Yeah.
One of my heroes in this whole space, y'all. He's you kind of get it right there, and I'm thinking, man, I like how he put that. We are the pioneer species.
Yeah.
We really are. I mean, usually when people refer to a pioneer species, they typically mean a weed.
Yeah.
It's a nice way of calling, but I prefer, because the whole reason that weed is there is because the ground has been decimated so much.
It's to prepare for succession,
exactly,
though, as well.
That's exactly what everything does. Yep.
Yeah.
So through succession, everything wants to build its way up. Given time, it will. But I like how he put that if we view ourselves as as that part in the succession, it's just good night, man. It's when you sit here and you take stock of all these things around us that are supposed to simplify our lives.
Yeah.
Do they?
I really don't think so.
Does a tractor, honestly, when you get down to brass tacks, okay, so you're ripping the soil. What are you doing? Wherever that claw was that ripped up the soil, what happens below it? Enormous compaction.
Yep.
So over the years, like Eric's talking about, the compaction layer, let's say 100 years ago, might have went down. It didn't start until, let's say, 6 inches down.
Right.
And then over time, now it's a foot down. Then it's 3 feet down. Now it's 4 feet down. Because as they're needing to get more ground, we're compacting the ground that's underneath it. So we're making it progressively worse. I mean, what's it going to wind up being? 10? What are you going to need? Like,
the only plow that doesn't compact underneath it is a yeoman's plow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
And guys, don't be fooled by all the other plows. The yeoman's plow is the only one that does not compact soil underneath it.
Yeah, and you're doing a certain thing with that plow as well, too.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
you're not just going willy nilly with the plow.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a plow with a purpose. All right. But yeah, I love how Eric put that. Nearly took me, almost sat there and just changed up the topic and talked about that. All right. Before we get into that, y'all remember EMP Shield. Yeah, $50 off with promo code PERMA, PERMA. Remember, I mean, good night. Do I even need to let you know what's happening in this world right now?
Because Putin's still deciding.
Yeah, he's decided. Yeah, he's like, hey, don't start none, there won't be none. So that's exactly what's going on, y'all. So if you need one over there, promo code PERMA, PERMA. All right, so we're going to jump right into this. Folks, I'm going to kind of get into this with a... It's going to be one of those things that's difficult to call it something. I get a lot of emails. And before we've done a program on analysis paralysis, okay? Now we got a different phenomenon going on, and it's kind of rooted in the same thing. And I'm going to call it indecision. It's just indecision. Right now, there are so many people that reach out, they write. Believe me, I may not always get a chance to write back, but believe me, I do see your email if it actually makes it through. And a lot of you folks are just telling me what's going on in your lives. Maybe you don't want to do it in a forum. I get that. And I do the best I can to write back and respond. But there's a whole lot of you out there that are thinking, good night, man. I've been doing this job for X amount of years. I want to do what you're doing. I want to get out there. I want to farm. But it's always the next thing. It's always going to be a but. I'm worried, if I quit this job, what's going to happen? Folks, I'm going to put it to you this way. I get a lot of people that reach out to me these days that knew me back in my older days. I was a very different person then. I had very different sensibilities. Didn't speak the way I do now. Didn't think the way I do now. Probably didn't do a whole lot the way I do now. And then when they come across me on YouTube, they're like, hey, I know that guy. And then they reach out and then they come to find out I'm not who I was. And, I like to think that I'm not even the person I was a year ago. And in fact, the most awful statement I think one person can say to another is after having not seen that person forever and a day, they spend a day with that person, and then they say, and I quote, "You haven't changed a bit." To me, that's disheartening because I don't think I'm the person I was even a year ago, maybe even 6 months ago. I know that I'm not. But back to my story, I digress a little bit. There's a guy working in a factory. He's been on this production line at a Unilever plant forever and a day. They make salad dressing there. And he's been there for 20 plus years. Well, he's thinking, okay, if I can stick it out for another 10, I might be able to get that brass ring at the end of the rainbow. I might be able to retire into this, get Social Security. Well, I don't know about you, bro, but I ain't counting on, and I don't think you should either. You shouldn't be counting on Social Security.
No.
You shouldn't count on anything in the stock market, in my view.
Especially when they just spent the last 3 years trying to kill all the old people. That should be a sign that they ain't got it.
Well, that's a very good point there, son. That's really profound when you get down to brass tacks. But there's so many people out there saying, man, do I make this plunge? Or I'm about to be laid off, or I was laid off. What should I do? Some people wait until they're laid off before they decide to go scorched earth on their dreams. Do you need to wait on that? Do you need to wait on that? Because I don't think you should. Remember, the dreams must be implemented with deeds. I don't remember who said that, but it wasn't me. But it's true. Dreams must be implemented with deeds. So what do? You wait until you get fired, get laid off, wait till that thing happens to make your move? Well, if you do, I believe you're a little bit trifling.
Or if you're waiting until you're ready. Waiting until you're ready can be, because you're never going to feel ready before you get started into something new. And if you do feel like you're ready for it, then you probably waited too doggone long. Like, how much studying can you do before getting into homesteading to prepare yourself for homesteading? How much like book reading, how many classes can you take, all that type of stuff. Like, that stuff is helpful, but not nearly as much as actually getting on the ground, actually starting and actually going and doing it.
Good point. If you can get out there and put foot to butt, if you can legitimately do that and find yourself in a position to where, okay, let's say you're working a 40 or 50 hour job. Okay, how many other hours are there in that day?
Yeah.
What interests you? Start there. What interests you most? Maybe you don't want to go out there and do farming the way, maybe you want to get into mushrooms, okay?
Yeah.
That's a more laissez-faire approach to this. Or let's say you want to get into microgreens. Well, as you could do that in a spare room in your house.
Yeah, and if you do it before you absolutely have to, then you have the luxury of like gently transitioning into it.
Perfect example. There's some folks I know that work at the farmer's market, and they make some of the best microgreens you're ever going to have.
Yeah.
It's a husband and wife, and they take basically a spare room in their house. They don't have a whole lot, but they got a spare room, and that's where they grow their microgreens.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're growing microgreens in that house, and if you know anything about microgreens, they are expensive. But as far as salads go, if you can make a salad full of microgreens, it's like the Cadillac. No, it's the Lamborghini of salads. It really is.
They both fall apart. It doesn't matter.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, you know, there is no better salad than you're ever going to have than a cornucopia of different microgreens. You know,
Right.
It's never, especially when they've been cut fresh. But the point being is that they're working at this while they got their day job. You know, the guys I did an interview with the other day, they're looking to get into a full-time gig doing what it is they love in podcasting.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, they're doing it as a side gig. Why not do that? Why are you waiting? Folks are saying, well, I'd love to get some chickens, but it's always but.
Yep.
Look, I don't even care if you live in an HOA. You can raise some chickens out there. Like I said, remember they identify as dogs.
Yep. And this kind of ties into what Joel was talking about on his episode today. Joel from Kill the Mockingbirds. He does his own episodes called Ginger Snaps. And today he was talking about how, like, I guess I'm not revealing anything that's not public knowledge. 4 months ago, he got laid off from his real estate job. And ever since then, he's been going full steam ahead on the podcast and all that stuff. And he's explaining and he's comparing this part of his life as to the Israelites traveling through the desert on the way to Israel. And he's explaining that the travel through the desert part, the suffering through that part is necessary in order to prepare you for Israel, basically. Now, I don't think the duration that the Israelites suffered is necessary because
Well, it was actually.
Well, yeah, it was, but I wonder.
I get your point.
You see what I'm saying?
I get your point.
Like, Moses was gone for a little bit and he came back and there was a golden calf. Like, they weren't exactly cooperative.
You had it coming.
Yeah. But he talked about kind of the same thing and how going through this desert part is necessary in order to prepare you for what's actually to come.
But at the end of the day, Joel didn't start podcasting when he got laid off.
No.
He was already doing it. And folks, that's what I'm encouraging a lot of you out there, because I get these things like, can't wait to get my land so I can start homesteading. Look, what did Joel Salatin, what makes a farm?
The farmer.
That's right. So I don't care if you're farming microgreens in your house, or maybe you got mushrooms in the basement.
You can
or maybe you're doing rabbits.
You can buy produce and can that if you want to.
There's so many different ways you can go about this, but everybody has this notion that you got to be on a bunch of land. You don't. You can farm in your backyard.
Here's one big aspect of homesteading that few people really even talk about, and that's being the consumer of these homesteading goods. That aspect is huge. If you were to, like, okay, you're wanting to get it started into homesteading. You don't have the land yet. One thing you could do is find local homesteads and see what products that you purchase already that you can replace with these local goods. That's getting started there, because you're gonna build a community of homesteaders just by purchasing their goods.
Find out where the problems exist.
Yeah.
I keep telling folks that. I mean, I know that seems self-evident, but find out where the problems exist. See if you can solve them. See if you are uniquely capable of solving those problems, and then make a business on it. Not everybody's cut out to be an entrepreneur. I get it. But just start with something you already love. That was something I heard recently from Ed Milet. Now, that's a podcast everybody should listen to, I think, because he gets guys on there, and there's some really awesome nuggets. He had a rapper on there I'd never even heard of before. I don't know who these people are.
I know who it is. Jason Derulo. I knew that was going to hop. That popped up in my subscription feed, and that stood out to me because I looked at it and I was like, Dad has no idea who this dude is.
I don't, but he had some good information.
Did he?
He had some really good knowledge when it comes to this stuff. And one of the pieces of advice that he had given on there was things we were already doing. It was like, start with what you're already good at.
Yeah.
Start there. Everybody has a talent. You may have to dig to find it. You may have to dig. Start with whatever that talent is and then build from there. But folks, you can do it. I get a lot of these emails, but I'm telling you, you don't have to wait until calamity unfolds. This is why a soldier trains. You don't wait till combat, then you put the soldier in there. You know, that doesn't happen. This is why you train before these things go down, you know? So keep that in mind, folks. That's actually the point. The big point I wanted to get at in this is don't feel like you got to wait until you get a piece of land. Start doing all those things right now.
It's time to eat. I don't want it discreet. What I am cooking, I keep it a vibe, even a sheet. Not here to make friends. Rent free in their heads. They don't like what I say, so they say that I work for the fans. When you're out of the box for the truth, they call you a side, cause what they assume is unpaid opposition, cause I see things like Andrew Tate as a spoon. To me, it's easy to see, like tearing down women ain't building them up.
All right. So back to the Q&A section. I say session,
Both.
section, all of the above. All right, son, what do you got?
Okay, so I got some from the Fountain app because now it's acting right. It's crazy.
How about that?
Yeah. And apparently people have been commenting this entire time until this point, it has not shown me. Got one from Margany Man. Got the email that the book was live and ordered it right away. Can't wait to read it. # tip a pimp.
Well, thank you so much. I mean, and thank you to everybody else out there that bought this.
And this was the first product we've released through email marketing as well. This is the first time we've ever let y'all know that something was available through emails, isn't it?
No, I think we actually have before, like when it came to our butchery course and stuff like that. Yeah, we've done stuff like that. Usually that's in your mom's realm, but but we try not to abuse it. I mean, I can't stand getting, like, you sign up for somebody's email and then they're emailing you twice, 3 times a day. Look, I'm not going to be, and it's not, or I love these people that you only get emails when they got something to sell.
Right. Yeah.
You know, nah, I don't do that. So I'm going to start trying to do a weekly newsletter.
Or they only provide information when they're about to sell a product.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. They'll
That's
start,
the only time they give away any information.
Picking it up. Yeah. They'll start picking it up. Right here, Jay says, I got an odd one for you. I got 2 types of chilies growing. Both are being remarkably unpollinated or slowly pollinated, but both are heirlooms. Looks like I'm going to get little or no fruit. Bees here are natives. Is it possible they don't like chili flowers? I'll be honest with you. A lot of that is going on right now. Weird things going on, like tomatoes sitting on a vine for a long, long time, but not turning ripe. Chilies that get to a certain point and then just stop producing. Yeah. A lot of weird things are going on right now, and it's hard to pinpoint exactly why. If you would ask my wife, she'll say it might be, she's thinking it's all this stuff they're dropping from the sky right now.
Yeah, I wonder if you have 5G in your area, and I wonder if that's declined the pollinator population in your area, because we live in kind of a weird bowl where we don't get, like, if we go up to the top of the mountain, we'll get 5G, but we don't get 5G anywhere else or even service anywhere else on the property. And all the beekeepers around here that lived in areas that had 5G lost a ton of bees the past couple years. So that might be part of it. You might have a drop in pollinators in your area.
Could be.
Got one from Melodious. Number one creator of inefficiency on our homestead, the kids. Mommy, can I go with you to move the chickens? Ha! In fairness, the 6 and 8 year olds are actually quite helpful now. The primary culprit is the 4-year-old.
No, man, that's a fact. That's a fact. But you gotta see now. That's totally different. But that you got to deal with that because that's part of training.
Well, it's like if you want to look at it this way, it's like teaching a new employee. You got to teach them how to do it first.
Yeah, yeah. But those are going to be employees that don't just get it the first or second time.
No.
All right. So Chef Keith Snow. He says in the Permaculture Orchard, Stefan Sobkowiak suggests black plastic on the rows for his trios. Other folks show using cardboard and mulch around rows. I think Paul Gauchi does. Which of these methods or different ones do you suggest for a new homesteader who desires to plant trees and bushes the right way? Well, basically, he's asking which strategy is best. I'm never going to second guess what Stefan Sobkowiak is doing. I'm just saying it doesn't work for us.
Well,
we don't feel like we need it.
I think he said that he's moved away from the black plastic, didn't he?
He might have, but I'm not aware of it.
Because that one demonstration he did with the tree planting in his documentary, he used cardboard. I thought he had mentioned something. I might be wrong, but I thought I saw maybe a YouTube title or some sort of information saying he was moving away.
Well, I'll find
from it.
out
I
for
could be
sure.
wrong.
I'll find out for sure in a couple of weeks. I mean, that's his method. I don't think we need it. We don't need it here, and that's not what we do. I can't wait to ask him personally. I definitely have a strong opposition to black plastic for a bunch of reasons.
I would say go with the cardboard. If nothing else, it just builds soil so doggone quickly.
Yeah, that's where I'm going to go with this. I mean, like I said, he's a hero of mine in this space for so many reasons. It doesn't mean that I'm going to totally agree with everything or that he's ever going to totally agree with me. We're taking every dog to the hunt that works around here for us. And regarding the plastic thing, man, I just don't think it's necessary. Now, there are going to be places where I can understand, like if you're dealing with some serious Bermuda grass or stuff like that.
Yeah.
You may wind up, that may be a sensible solution.
I was actually wanting to do that as a comparison test, soil test of an area that had that silage tarp over it.
Yeah.
And then a soil test right next to it without the silage tarp.
Yeah, that's something William was talking about the other day. Now, as far as having empirical evidence to demonstrate one or the other, no, we don't have that. But that
will provide
it. Yeah,
it.
you actually talked about that. I'm not a fan of the plastic, but I mean, when I get up here and I talk to him, I'm going to find out for myself up close and personal.
Yeah.
But around here, we don't need it. And I don't think you do need it. Not the way we do things.
Speaking of Chef Snow, Eric Sider has a comment talking about his trick with the herbs. Eric said the trick for the herbs works well for leafy greens as well. So go back and check out that Chef Snow tip.
Yeah.
Because apparently it works with leafy greens
well,
as well.
Chef Snow, bring them up. Keep them coming.
Yeah.
Hey, Brother Billy, love the show and the PIMPcast. I'll get straight to the question. Can you compost tomato plants safely? I've heard yes and no. What's up with that? Well, it depends. I've composted many a tomato plant. Ain't ever had a problem with it.
Here's the easiest answer. If it has lived, it can live again through compost. That was told to me by Jeff Lawton when he got tired of me asking the same type of question.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've done it. And in fact, I just put a few of them in there today to be composted. I mean, I don't know where that came from entirely, but there's so much. Now, granted, you don't want to just put one thing into your compost pile. That's where a lot of people mess up.
Yeah.
You want diversity of materials, just like you in your soil food web. You don't just want bacteria. You don't want just protozoa. You don't want any one thing, and you certainly don't want one. Even among bacteria, you don't just want one type of bacterium.
No.
You want a bunch, and you want a bunch of different kinds because they all do different functions. It's like trying to build a skyscraper with just electricians. Ain't going to work out well. So you want to make absolutely sure that you get it all in there. So it's as long as you don't use just one thing in there, you're going to be just fine.
Got one from Po Boy. Are there certain trees slash shrubs that are better to plant in fall as opposed to early spring? I've got some elderberry and mulberry seedlings, and I'm undecided if I should plant now or next year. Zone 6. Hashtag tip of pimp.
Going right back to Mr. Subkoviak, I mean, he's going to tell you, hey, fall. And I think he quotes the work of Dr. Carl Whitcomb out of Oklahoma State, and I've examined that work myself, and I think Eric Sider has as well. And I think he makes a pretty compelling case that the best time to ever plant a tree is always going to be in the fall, even though all of the nurseries have all their trees in the spring. If you got to do it in the spring, okay, that's what you got. In fact, I've planted trees in spring. I've planted trees in the dead of summer. They're going to take more care. They're going to need more care. But once they get through that first, if you can make them last all the way through that first year and get them into the fall, then they can really put down some roots. But if at all possible, I always try to put them in the fall when the leaves are off. And depending on where it is, like in Texas, it'd be the dead of winter before you could ever actually plant them.
Right.
Because you only really got 2 seasons there. I mean, summer and winter.
Summer and not.
Yeah. I mean, you don't get 4 seasons in places like that. So you just go with what you can. And typically the dead of winter is probably going to be the best time for you to do that. So yeah, it all depends. But in your zone, yeah, fall, if you can possibly go for it. But if you have to wait till spring, that's what you got to do.
Yep.
All right. So, hey, Billy, got some comfrey. Let's see here. Putting it in the ground. Okay. They're wondering. Son, why don't you go ahead? This is very, very tough to read.
I got one from Eric Sider again. Not technically a tree, but bamboo might be one of the most useful plants you can grow. The best reason to have islands in your ponds is to grow giant running bamboo. As Jeff Lawton says, it's easier to say what you can't use bamboo for than what you can. And having been to Jeff Lawton's farm, he's got bamboo every doggone place.
Well, watch every video he does, man. There's bamboo all around that place.
Well, I bet he's filming in that bamboo forest because it's about 10 degrees cooler than like if you're in the pasture compared to that bamboo section where there's a section that goes up to the house site in the house pond. And there's like a little corridor, and it's always a good place to stand there to get a nice cool breeze because the air comes down through the bamboo. The bamboo has all this water, cools down the air, and then by the time it hits you, it's real nice out there.
Gotta love that.
Yep.
All right, so as far as this comfrey goes, they said, hey, we noticed you said don't plant in Miracle Grow or potting soil. And they were wondering what the deal was with that. Well, comfrey's going to do better, honestly. The richer the soil, the less it's going to do well in that area. So you want to avoid that. So as far as filling up your pots, you want to just get some natural soil that you got around there.
Here's a way to explain it. Okay, so you notice how trees have certain soil requirements, soil life requirements or certain preferences on soil life. And like the ratio between fungus and bacteria and all that stuff, they want very, very high fungal activity and stuff like that. Whereas your Brussels sprouts, they want very little fungal activity and they want a lot of bacteria growing. The comfrey requires the crappier side of soil. Does that make sense?
Doesn't necessarily.
They prefer that successional level versus the high fungal, really, really good soil that the forest provides. Not saying that Miracle Grow is that at all. I'm just saying that's what comfrey prefers. It prefers the crappy soil.
Well, they were wondering, should they put them in pots and then they want to transplant them under some fruit trees? You can absolutely do that. You're just going to do better if you just get some regular, topsoil or something like that to put in those pots.
Yeah, if you do that, I would go that route only if you're wanting to get them grown up, at least started, and then you're wanting to transplant it because your trees might be further away from the house than the pots that you have. That might be a reason. I got one from Bourbon and Bible. I see the rice knife has a finish. What's the best way to maintain that finish? Keep pimping. The rice knife blade itself has a varnish on it. You can use what we use is stuff called Corrosion X. It's kind of like WD-40, but way better. And then on the handle itself, it's finished with walnut oil. So you can reapply walnut oil, which is a very polymerizing oil. It attaches to the wood and becomes kind of part of the wood. You can touch that up with walnut oil, or you can use like boiled linseed oil if you would like. It's going to change the color just slightly, but not much.
So Rickard, my man from Sweden, he says, I will update you on my raised bed and compost. One more question, a little more in depth on compost. I have oak in my yard. If I want some neutral compost in the pH value, can I compost oak leaves and ash at the same time and try to balance the pH? I really don't know because I don't know what else you got in there. You're going to need more than just, you really don't even.
You don't have to worry about any of that.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Go ahead.
The pH is going to be so doggone site specific that it really doesn't matter. The oak leaves are going to be perfectly fine. The bigger issue with the oak leaves are the tannins, and that might kill off some of the bacteria that you're trying to get kickstarted in your compost. So if there's any reason to limit the amount of oak leaves you put in there, it might be the tannins. I don't know if they all stay in after dried though.
Well, some oaks just take forever and a day to break down too.
Yeah.
So I try many times to unless oaks are kind of thrown in there, I try to avoid them a little bit in the compost pile because, like I said, if I'm not sure what oak tree that came from, there's some oaks, man, that take forever and a day to break down. So just be real careful about those. But in the whole composting process, I mean, you're making good, like I said, you're going to have so much stuff in there, it's going to be hard to determine exactly what that is. And we're finding out, like William said, that pH can literally change from one micrometer to the next.
Well, it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, we got sold a bunch of crazy stuff when it comes to pH and stuff like that.
Got one from Red Moose. Hey, guys, on the electrolyte recipe, when making, do you guys measure by weight or by volume? Thanks for all you guys do. Galatians 6:9. Do you measure by weight or by volume?
On what?
On the electrolyte recipe. Ike's electrolyte recipe? I would say it's by weight. I mean, by volume.
No, by volume.
Yeah.
Yeah, the recipe.
I thought it was by volume.
Yeah. I guess I'm not entirely understanding what that's all about, but yeah, I'll take volume for 200, Jack. Yeah. So Matt, he says, I'm in a major fork in the road. I'd like to know y'all's opinion on the matter because I do respect your opinion. I heard you talk about how college isn't worth it. Well, depending on what it is you're going after. I have 3 semesters of college left. If all goes well, then I'll be graduating either next fall if I take summer classes or next winter. If I wait until the fall with my 2-year degree. Most of all college is paid for through scholarships except for class fees and books. I am a major in agriculture, and as you can imagine, they're teaching me to, yeah. So let me just jump to it right here, bro. Okay, like Dave Ramsey said before, that if you're getting something for free from the government or anybody else, then it's kind of foolish to not take it. If you're there on a scholarship and it ain't costing you anything, maybe it might be worth it. It's hard to say.
I'd say no. I mean, you're still having to pay class fees and books and stuff like that. I would say absolutely no, because it's still very, very your most valuable resource is your time. And you're spending a lot of that time learning information that you're going to have to relearn.
Well, I'm going to be a little less. Because I don't know the full extent, and there's no way you can possibly convey it in an email.
Yeah.
So I don't know what your longer term goals. I mean, agriculture is pretty wide. If you're there on scholarship and there's other factors involved, it might make sense for you to do it. I don't know. I mean, you're really the only one that can do that. At the end of the day, though, if you want to break bread, I won't fake dead. That's what a ghetto philosopher once said. Meaning that if somebody else is paying the bills, you gotta consider that. And is it a waste of your time, like William said? So you want to consider that as well. At the end of the day, you're going to have to figure out what exactly is working for you and whether or not you want to stay on that path.
I think it also depends on what you're wanting to do. Because there aren't, like if you're wanting to do, for example, like consultations and stuff, having an agriculture degree, it ain't going to help you at all.
Well, it depends. I mean, it was like, I remember Nate Kramer talking to him and Katie out there, and they had somebody come out from the extension department.
Yeah.
And every suggestion they give is based on Big Ag's recommendation.
Exactly.
The
That's what
polar
I'm
opposite
saying.
of everything that they would stand for. And okay, but under John Q. regular, they're going to be like, oh, put down a ton of lime and do this, this, and this.
Yep.
And they're never going to say, well, how do we fix this soil
Right.
the right way? They're never going to do that sort of thing. So it's hard to answer that question. It depends on which part of ag you want to go into. We need a little more. Hey, I'm going to give you that answer that everybody hates to hear in farming and in permaculture, and that is, it depends.
Yeah.
It depends. It really does, bro.
Oh,
Good?
you want more? Okay. On over to the YouTube channel, Permaculture PIMPcast. Check us out there. Trippin' Billy, I can't find Kill a Mockingbird channel. Imagine that. I wish you guys had linked it. Oh, well, I can definitely link it, but it's just called...
He said, kill the mockingbirds. It's plural. Yeah.
Kill the Mockingbirds.
Yeah, it's two birds there.
Yep.
Yeah,
and it's their second to last episode called Trump 316. If you type in Trump 316, that's another way to find the episode. Got one from Sunny Preps. Freeze-dried blueberries are the bomb. No poking necessary. No rehydrating necessary. Eat like candy.
See, I'm getting mixed signals on this because Ben from Two Old Crows. I'm sorry. Ben from
Renewed Homestead
just texted me today. First batch they did worked out perfectly. And they got a batch in there right now, and I guess they had them in there forever and a day, and them suckers still ain't dried out.
On that note, Three Little Goats says, we don't pierce our blueberries when we freeze dry them, but it takes 40 plus hours to process them that way.
Yeah. That's okay. So I guess that's confirmation. I remember
40 plus hours.
I remember Wanda down at Deep South Home said she had to poke each one. And that is one painstaking job. I love blueberries, but I don't want them that bad.
What if we made like a puree and then freeze dried that?
Yeah,
that seems to be the way to go.
That's kind of what I was going to suggest there, is that you do a puree, or what's that when you just macerate them or something? That seems like...
Shoot, I don't know.
I think I'd rather do that, or fruit roll-up, something, man. But I ain't poking each one with, man, I got too much to do.
Yeah. Got one from Soulshine Life 9414. She says, this was fantastic. Thanks, y'all. And that was Eric Sider's interview. People are loving Eric Sider's interview, by the way.
Eric's the man, y'all.
Yeah. And then I got Ann in Texas. I had moles and gophers for years and tried many products and techniques. It all ended when my brother bought Gopher Hawk. These traps were easy to use even for small senior citizens, and I got rid of my problems. Now I have to lightly cultivate my big yard to level it, as the holes make it difficult for my brother's wheelchair to go over.
Gopher Hawk.
Gopher Hawk. Yeah, I wonder what that is.
It sounds like a superhero, man.
Yeah, it does sound like like for a kids movie or something.
Yeah, it sounds like some kind of weird superhero.
Or a racial slur somehow.
Yeah, oh yeah. I was going to say it sounds like some sleazy politician. Look at that Gopher Hawk.
Look at that Gopher Hawk.
Oh, your mama's a Gopher Hawk.
Your goat mouth mama's a Gopher Hawk.
Dude, you know that's happening somewhere, right? Man, somebody's kid's listening right now, and the mom's looking over to that kid in the rearview mirror, like, shaking her head like, don't you even think about it, boy.
He's going to school calling people that.
You little goat mouth Gopher Hawk. Hey, that's a lot more clever than calling somebody the more usual, that's why I'm not a big fan of profanity. Well, that's one of the reasons, but
I'd love to see the rendering of that on a t-shirt. Goat mouth Gopher Hawk.
Hey, I think we got something there. All right, y'all. Hopefully this has been a blessing to you. Till next time, stay alert.
Stay alive.